Everyone wants that pretty blue check mark on their Instagram profile. It means that you're somebody special, a celebrity, or a person of notoriety. There are people with hundreds of thousands of followers without a blue check mark, and there are people with only a few thousand or a few hundred who are verified. But having that blue check mark next to your name on Instagram might not be all it's cracked up to be. This is the dark truth about being verified on Instagram. So when I came across an article written by a journalist who is verified on Instagram, I thought it was interesting. Very interesting. Her name is Lindsay Ellefson. She has a couple thousand followers on Instagram and she's verified. She recently wrote an article for Mashable called "Instagram Verification Will Make You Public Enemy #1." What a title, dude! Click. I clicked for sure, mostly because when I did a video a few months ago called "How to Get Verified on Instagram," I got like a ton of harassment from total strangers asking me why I wasn't verified if I did a video on how to be verified on Instagram. I admit I was intrigued. So just so everybody understands, Lindsay needs that blue check mark. As a journalist, having it means faster replies from sources, people or companies that you're researching for articles. Of course, Lindsay has found that having that blue check mark gets her places. It is somewhat of a way of showing that you've made it, you're the real deal, and people take her more seriously. But being verified doesn't come with more than her fair share of harassment. On her phone, Lindsay has saved screenshots of some of the most outrageous messages strangers have sent her since she got verified on Instagram. She's basically been documenting what it's like to be verified, and honestly, it makes the whole blue checkmark thing seem like it's a lot more trouble than it's worth. In her DMs, Lindsay has received dozens of messages from strangers harassing her about the fact that she has a blue checkmark and they don't. Messages range from "Why the f are you verified?" and "How the f did you get verified?" as if to say you're a nobody and you don't deserve verification. She's also constantly harassed by people who want to buy her verified account from her. Essentially, her DMs are a timeline of hostility. Based on Lindsay's research, the harassment seems to be directed mostly at women who are verified. She also claims that being verified results in triple the amount of unsolicited pics. When she asked verified males what their experiences were, they didn't experience the harassment to the same degree, if at all. So for example, Andrew Carell, senior editor at the Daily Beast with 755 followers, gets spam messages but not necessarily harassment. A female musician, however, Polly, with 12,500 followers, sees no benefit to her blue checkmark. Mostly she just gets tons of messages from annoyed, unverified users. Other women in media who Lindsay reached out to, who didn't want to be named for fear of further harassment, said men she didn't know would send her messages and tell her their out-of-line opinions on her appearance. It's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, now that I'm verified on Instagram, you have the right to tell me that I'm ugly?" Right, because you know, only supermodels are verified on Instagram. The blue checkmark even affects Lindsay's dating and relationship life. 4 men that Lindsay have gone out with have brought it up in person. One, an actor with no concrete acting credits, told her that if either of them should be verified, it should be him, the actor, not her. So the point is, if you don't have that blue checkmark, I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're not a notable person. If you have it, it either means you're a celebrity or it means you know the right people with the right connections. All you pretty much need to be verified is a boss, a publicist, or a friend that works in public relations. If you do manage to get yourself a checkmark, don't necessarily think that it's a bad thing, but don't be surprised if you start getting harassed.
Social media influencers are the talk of the town and the darlings of the internet, but is there a dark side? Let me tell you, as an Instagrammer with nearly 90,000 followers, there actually is a pretty murky side. Very rotten in some cases. Okay, so the dark side of influencing and being an influencer. I am ready. I have a few points for you, a lot of talking points, so stick with me. I'm gonna start with the first, which is the most headline worthy, and that is the pursuit of being an Instagrammer actually sends people legitimately insane. Firstly, a lot of people want to be influencers so badly that they're putting themselves into debt. In May 2018, 26-year-old Lisette Calverio got herself into $10,000 worth of debt for pretending to have a lifestyle that she simply couldn't afford. Why? For the gram. She said that she would buy expensive clothes and take herself on luxury trips simply so she could post pictures to her Instagram to try and boost her following and show off her aspirational life. The pressure to keep up appearances almost put her on the streets because she was so badly in debt, which is absolutely insane. Speaking of the streets, influencers are also acting crazy out and about. Recently, an article ran on multiple multiple international news outlets about Instagrammers acting like absolute twazzocks in Chernobyl or other places with dark histories. For those of you that don't know, Chernobyl and the connecting town of Pripyat are ghost towns following a nuclear disaster in 1986. Now, in this disaster, 31 people directly died as a result, and thousands more indirectly died through radiation poisoning, so it isn't really a place for a sexy selfie. A sexy selfie is exactly what the world got from Instagrammer NZ Nick though, who posted a bum selfie in a disaster zone. Like, what is actually wrong with people? She did a topless shoot in a gas mask as well, and honestly I'm so confused. Influencer Angel Set Free also followed suit and did an underwear shoot in Pripyat, which again, I don't get it. Are influencers so obsessed with getting the right picture that they forget common decency? It actually seems so. Decency is one thing, but influencers also neglect safety in order to get the perfect selfie too. I say influencers and I don't mean everyone. I guess it's just people that are desperately trying to stand out, but they're putting themselves in real danger. A recent Vice article claimed that hundreds of people had died taking selfies in the past few years. The pressure is so intense to have a great picture that influencers and aspiring influencers will actually die for it, and that just isn't cricket in my book. I know that we have spent a lot of time talking Instagram influencers, but content creators in general are guilty of this too. In 2018, a wannabe YouTuber, Mona Lisa Perez, was jailed for shooting her boyfriend for a video prank that went wrong. 3 Canadian YouTubers actually died from channel High on Life in 2018 when they fell down a waterfall. Like, don't mess with nature. Capture it for the gram, sure, but what are you thinking? So aside from the headlines of bankruptcy and death, as an actual influencer who would never put my life at risk for a picture or even spend half the money the platform makes me on pretending to be rich, because that's crazy, but I have to say, as a reasonably sensible influencer, that actually it kind of takes over your life. There's a lot of pressure to post stories every single day, to post good content every day. I have kind of a dreamy pink and yellow theme going on my Instagram right now, which means that I actually need to forward plan my outfits for my shoots, which is just insane. There's no off-the-cuff posting. On top of that, yes, we post about all of these amazing events that we go to, and that really is fantastic, but let me just first-hand tell you a story of last night. Literally, I was at an event with my best friend, and I so badly wanted to catch up with her, but going to an event for Instagram kind of means acting like a bit of a schizophrenic. One moment, I am deep in conversation with a friend, and then the next, I need to stop what I'm doing in the middle of a sentence because a tray of pink fries has come out of the kitchen and I need to capture it in the perfect light and post it immediately. It's actually crazy. Then I take a friend with me so we can enjoy our night together in this great space, but my poor friend ends up having to take 50 to 100 pictures of me holding a cocktail and smiling just so I can choose to post one later. And again, having to look good in these pictures all of the time does affect your mental health. That isn't even the half of it either. Sometimes the events themselves are fake. I love going to events when I'm given a full and true experience of a restaurant or hotel or a vacation spot, but recently in Toronto I went to an event that I wasn't even being paid for, and I had to photograph prop food and cocktails to post them as if I was actually enjoying them, but I wasn't. There were 20 of us invited influencers to this event, and we all had to crowd around a table and snap pictures of delicious looking food and drinks that I actually didn't get to eat any of, and eventually we were given some cold scraps of what was left, but I refused to post the pictures because I didn't think it was authentic. But I did see that other influencers did it because they wanted to grow their profiles and that's how they thought they should do it. But for me it was just so fake, it wasn't real, it was insane. A lot of influencers will tell you that heavily curated and aspirational images aren't actually real, or by the time they get to eat the food that they're posing with, it's cold. So speaking of fake, I'm really glad that Instagram and other social platforms are stamping it out, but some influencers themselves are fake. They've actually paid for followers, which, I don't know, is that some kind of fraud? Also, imagine wanting to be successful so badly that you're willing to pay for fake people to follow you just so other people think that you look good. What is is wrong with our generation? So away from their fake for a moment, I want to move on to discuss the effect that Instagram and other social platforms have on mental health. I talked about appearances and keeping them up being pretty stressful, and that's true. A recent study discussed in an article on the Guardian website also found that the more time people reported spending on Instagram, the more anxious and depressed they actually felt in their real life. This is everyone, not just people creating content specifically for the gram. People viewing content are feeling bad about their lives because Instagram is a pastel palace of aspiration, and the people actually creating the viral images are feeling bad because they're kind of living a bit of a lie. Like, I never share images of my hair in like a Vicky Pollard style messy bun in my pajamas eating a microwave dinner because literally no one wants to see that, but that is also an authentic part of my life. Is Instagram asking us to be inauthentic, and what further psychological implications does that have? There have been further studies about the mental health implication of likes on social media. This has led to Instagram as a platform trialing the removal of likes. Now, I can tell you firsthand that it is hard not to associate your value as a human with the number of social media likes, which is actually ridiculous. This year, a viral story sent the internet into a frenzy when mum blogger Katie Bauer revealed that her 6-year-old son receives the least amount of likes on Instagram out of all of her children. Like, A, how is she even counting and noticing that? And B, like, what? That should never be an actual thing. But like, in a really deep and sick way, as an influencer, I kind of understand. I know what people prefer to see and good business practices to keep up engagement. I worry as well about people doing things they aren't comfortable with for likes. For example, it's an observable trend that females get more likes and popularity the less clothing they're wearing on social platforms. Now, I personally wouldn't bow to that pressure, but there are more impressionable people that would. And what about young girls who want to make it as influencers? Would they be encouraged to show more of their bodies than they might be comfortable with in order to get internet famous? It's actually pretty gross, and that's without even wading into the swamp that is the comments section. A couple more things before we round it out, but another murky area about being an influencer is how much people actually care about you. Why are the people following you? Like, what are they following you for? Do they just want to look at you? How many people are actually being influenced by your actions? Yes, for a lot of us it is trackable and profitable, but a big reach doesn't necessarily mean big engagement. Recently there was a story about an Instagrammer with 2.6 million followers that couldn't sell 36 t-shirts. 2.6 million followers couldn't sell 36 shirts. Like, what? I don't know what went wrong there, but that is absolutely shocking. Finally, one of the darkest truths about being an influencer is that actually, old media kinda wants you to fail. Notice how many headlines there are out there about YouTubers and Instagrammers not doing things right and failing. PewDiePie was absolutely crucified by the Wall Street Journal. The Daily Mail comes after influencers daily. Why? Because self-made celebrities scare them, and honestly I'm a little bit glad. Maybe this is a bright side of being an influencer, but it throws off traditional power structures. Having to pander to executives and producers and do Weinstein-esque favors to be famous is still a thing, but it's becoming more of a story of the past as people turn to their own creations. Creators can march to the beat of their own drums even if it is stressful without having to rely on old world money platforms. They can gain their own following and use their own voice, and it scares old media, it really does, the way YouTube scares traditional broadcast television. Can influencers be trusted as content creators? Old media are gonna keep on coming after them until they take the power back, although I personally don't know if they can. As inauthentic as being an influencer can be, it's a darn side more authentic than a lot of scripted media and reality TV shows out there. So, gonna put my cup of tea down.
They recently added a new feature, Fleets, and users are now fearing that the app's new feature can make Twitter even more toxic, which I didn't think it was possible, but they've outdone themselves yet again. And it's something that literally no one asked for, yet for some reason, Twitter decided to implement it anyways. Showing the profile pics of people you follow in little circles at the top of the app, exactly like Instagram, Twitter Fleets last 24 hours. Just like Instagram. I wonder where Twitter got this whole story idea from. Probably Snapchat if I'm being honest. Remember that app? And of course you could add text, photos, videos, as well as tweets to your fleet, which make it quite literally identical to Instagram stories. It's just on Twitter now. Of course, users were quick to complain about how much they hate the new feature, but it seems likely it's here to stay. That being said, a handful of Twitter users highlighted an issue with fleets that Twitter is no stranger to: harassment on the app. As I said before, Twitter is one of the most toxic platforms out there. It's chaotic, and knowing this, I try not to go on often, yet I find it's one of my most used apps. Maybe that says something about me, but I'll save that for my psychologist. Going back to fleets, users pointed out a handful of issues or ways that the new feature can lead to even more harassment on the platform, which they've been trying to deal with for years now. Andrew Thaler, who apparently has blocked Donald Trump on Twitter and has been blocked by number 45 himself, tweeted out that even though they've blocked each other, he can still tag Donny Boy on his fleets. This is bad news. The tweet reads, I quote, "Holy mola, you could tag accounts that have blocked you and that you've blocked. Me and POTUS are mutual blockers in a fleet, and the tag will still work to direct your followers to that account. That is not good." What that means is that you can use Fleet to direct your followers to harass someone, and there is no way for the target to identify the source of the harassment. Shut it down at Twitter. A very interesting way of looking at things, and given that fleets only last 24 hours, it would make things that much more difficult for you to know who directed these users to you or where they're coming from. On top of this, when someone reposts your tweet on their fleet, the original user doesn't get notified. Twitter user Bog Boogie confirmed this by testing it out themselves. I quote their tweet reading, "I see a lot of folks saying, why does it matter? And they don't notify you on Instagram, and that's all well and good, but Twitter is not Instagram. And I personally feel this can easily lead to targeted harassment at a scale that is incredibly large and yet invisible." Twitter support would actually end up responding to the thread with, I quote, "We understand the concern here. The team is working on sending notifications for when someone shares your tweet in a fleet." A spokesperson also confirmed that if a user is in fact blocked, they shouldn't be able to tag you in their fleet's story and vice versa. The spokesperson said the company is, I quote, "always listening to feedback, and that keeping people safe on Twitter is a top priority." I'm sure it won't be long before that bug in regards to the blocked person is fixed, but it seems fleets caused the app even more problems in general, as the features weren't fully working for everyone. Just a day after rolling the feature out worldwide, Twitter support tweeted out, "We're slowing down the rollout of fleets to fix some performance and stability problems. If you don't have the feature yet, you may not get it for a few more days. We love that so many people are using fleets and want to ensure we're providing the best experience for everyone." I mean, I'm still not using voice memos, nor do I know anyone who does on Twitter, so I feel these stories or fleets may not stick, but really, who knows?
Yeah, Gordon, the app is called TikTok, and while it's currently the world's most downloaded app, it only launched in the US last month, so a lot of parents have no idea it even exists.
They were like, "Do not ignore me. I know who you are," but swearing, "I know who you are and I'll come and get you."
Today we'll be counting down the top 10 shocking truths about TikTok that will make you delete your account. Pretend the app suppressed disabled users. I know it sounds like a wild claim and I wish it weren't true, but the app has even admitted to it. Although their intentions were good, they wanted to reduce the amount of cyberbullying on their platform, but it seems the logic is kind of flawed. Their handbook explicitly said that TikTok moderators should look out for creators who would fall under the following categories: disabled people, people with facial disfigurements, people with other facial problems such as birthmark or squint, Down syndrome, and autism. The reason for the policy was because these users were susceptible to bullying or harassment based on their physical or mental condition, according to TikTok. I mean, I get they were trying to protect people, but by censoring someone based on a disability is kind of a form of bullying, like you're singling them out, which isn't okay. It kind of defeats the whole purpose of what you're doing. At number 9, artists don't get paid much for music. A good example would be the song Mia Khalifa by I Love Friday. The song seemingly blew up on TikTok and spawned a challenge of sorts after TikTok user Nyan Cosplay posted a video dancing to the song. More and more users started to download the app just to make their own dance to the song, and at one point it's believed if TikTok paid royalties the way YouTube does, the young rap group could have been paid out at least $150,000. Unfortunately, TikTok found a loophole of sorts which allows artists' music to be used without having to compensate them, or at least much. In the case of I Love Friday, their manager struck a deal to get promotion through the app in exchange for fair use of the song. So I mean, that's kind of a win. Coming at number 8, they don't care about you. Unfortunately, like every app, there are some problems. People's accounts may get banned randomly, or your video may be taken down. If your livelihood is TikTok, as in it's how you make all your money, or at least your brand and monetize it elsewhere, it'd be a shame for you to lose your account. And if you did, you'd want an explanation of why you lost it and how to get it back. Unfortunately, if you find yourself to be so unlucky, you won't get much help from TikTok's support team. They don't really seem to care about their users and will reply with robotic automated messages if you reach out to them via Twitter. Our buddy Johnny Rogers had his TikTok banned for no reason, and he still hasn't been told why. Probably because his content was trash. Totally kidding, Johnny's my boy. Go follow him on TikTok too. Follow me too. And at number 7, people are pushing political agendas. TikTok is seen by many as a kids app. Although people of all ages are creating content as well as enjoying content on a daily basis, the majority believes the app is for kids. And it mostly is made up of teens or young adults, which is why pushing a political agenda on young, impressionable teens and adults could be a problem. In fact, it was a problem when over a dozen ISIS videos were removed from the app. It was reported that Islamic State propagandists were posting videos on the app, including Islamic State anthems, corpses, and even beheadings, which is horrifying to even think about. Moving on to number 6, the US thinks the app is a national security risk. Now, it's no secret the US and China are in a bit of a tech war, as well as a trade war, and possibly even a data war. Which is why the US sees TikTok as a possible threat to the well-being of Americans. For those of you unaware, TikTok is owned by ByteDance, a Beijing company. When ByteDance acquired Musical.ly in 2018 for about $1 billion, they said they'd be keeping the newly acquired app separate from their Chinese apps. Until they didn't. For those of you who don't know, the company then merged Musical.ly into TikTok and the app blew up. The US government, however, isn't cool with this, and given the fact that China passed the National Intelligence Law in 2017, which requires companies to hand over data if asked, well, it could be a problem. Although TikTok claims the data isn't at risk, some experts fear the company could collect people's information and send it overseas. In at number 5, the app could inspire dangerous challenges. So the app's policies say don't do anything on the app you wouldn't do in person or the public eye. But as we know, people will do anything for fame, and what you may feel is inappropriate to the public eye could be deemed perfectly okay in my opinion. In fact, it probably is. As we know, when challenges take over any app, they do so by storm. Really, this could happen with any app, but given that TikTok is the next big thing, I'm going to say it's one of the most dangerous. It's new, there's tons of opportunity to be a TikTok star because it's so new, and this could lead to users doing unsafe things in hopes of just getting noticed. You know, just doing it for the clout or for the gram, but in this case, doing it for the talk. Doing it for the TikTok. Doing it for the tick. I don't know. And at number 4, the app is sexist. Now this one actually comes from personal experience. I made a TikTok account and uploaded a funny Respect the Drip Karen video, which ended with a shot of me in the mirror wearing nothing but these tight neon pink striped shorts. I was topless, yes, but I didn't feel I was showing anything inappropriate by any means. Yet for some reason the video got taken down. However, I see tons of videos of girls dancing, whether they're wearing quite revealing clothing or just straight up twerking, that is allowed. It's much more sexual than what I was doing is all I'm trying to say. It seems TikTok is quite the opposite of Instagram. Instagram was known for removing any photos which showed even the slightest of a woman's nipple. They've since relaxed on their censorship, but it seems TikTok is doing the opposite. They're okay with girls shaking their bums and dancing half naked, but if a guy poses without a shirt, it violates community guidelines. I don't understand. At number 3, the app controls freedom of speech. 17-year-old TikTok user Feroza Aziz went viral after posting a video to the app showing her attached eyelash extensions while educating people on the human rights crisis taking place in China regarding Muslims and other minority groups. After the video would blow up, Aziz would end up losing her entire TikTok account, and upon her arguing her case, they would eventually reinstate the account. However, Aziz claimed that the app was trying to silence her and take away the spotlight from what's happening in China. TikTok said she was banned because of a video she posted on one of her older accounts, which really doesn't make much sense to me. It seems like some backtracking because they were caught. I don't know, guys. Seems sus if you ask me. Like, you have one account, make some crazy content that isn't good, you make another account, and they take down that new account because of some old content on another one of your accounts. At number 2, the app banned pro-LGBT content. More specifically, in Turkey, the app's local moderators were told to censor any LGBT content posted in the country. To clarify, homosexuality in Turkey isn't illegal. Yet still, for some reason, it was reported that in Turkey, moderators were told to censor content showing, I quote, intimate activities, holding hands, kissing, touching, between homosexual lovers, end quote. They've since changed the policies and admitted to this, releasing a statement that reads, I quote, we have since made significant progress in establishing a more robust, localized approach. However, we recognize the need to do more, and we are actively working with local third parties and independent advisors to ensure our processes are appropriate. End quote. So, I guess it's kind of a win. And finally, at number 1, predators. Unfortunately, TikTok is a goldmine of sorts for the sick people out there. Makes me sick to my stomach even talking about this, but it's a sad reality. A good example would be TikTok user The Buddy, real name Buddy Haynes. Although it seems following a police investigation, Haynes was not arrested due to a lack of evidence. If he continues behaving this way, I have no doubt he will be caught.